I was to ask you to give me a list of some of the most influential films of all time, no doubt you would choose something like Citizen Kane, The Godfather, Empire Strikes Back, and I bet The Wizard of Oz would be somewhere on that list. You know, just a list of films that should never, ever be touched by remakes, especially remakes that are made to propagate woke ideology. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and if you know me, you know how much I hate that word, woke. The word that's lost all meaning, the word that gets thrown around left, right, center. However, I don't know a better word to use than woke when it comes to a remake being done by the guy that did Blackish, that's also doing a remake with a POC lead of It's a Wonderful Life. So we're going to get into this. We're going to discuss what a woke remake of The Wizard of Oz is going to entail, why it shouldn't happen, and why this is going to objectively lose money. But before we do, hit that subscribe button. I am a nerdy news channel. I bring you nerdy news every day, and freedom of speech is paramount in days like these, and it's starting to feel like we have it less and less. So that subscription is going to help me, as well as channels like me, survive and keep giving you new, honest news instead of just the mainstream narrative. Kenya Barris' Richard Pryor biopic is a 10-episode series. New Wizard of Oz is set in Inglewood, and It's a Wonderful Life remake has POC lead. I'm still a believer in IP, he says. Now, I'm not going to say too much about the Richard Pryor biopic. Let's be real. Richard Pryor's awesome. I'm sure that he can do a 10-episode series, probably do it competently. I don't know a whole lot about his body of work. I mean, we're going to get into it a little bit throughout the course of this video, but every bit of his body of work it's centered on a particular skin color, we should say. And you know what? Richard Pryor, he was a black dude. In fact, probably one of the funniest black dudes and most talented, successful black dudes to ever walk the earth, right there next to, you know, Dave Chappelle and Bernie Mac. So, if this dude's roots is in doing this sort of film or this sort of TV show, by all means, I bet he's going to do great with the Richard Pryor biopic. However, that does not mean he's qualified to do The Wizard of Oz and It's a Wonderful Life. The Blackish creator and You People director, because yeah, that's who you want to work on a Wizard of Oz, something that was universally accepted for everybody, as somebody who worked on a show called You People. Director is also updates for 2 classic films that he is updating. You should be worried about that word, updating. And remind me again why The Wizard of Oz needed an update. Now, I don't know how often you guys watch The Wizard of Oz. I actually happen to adore that film. I watch it all the time, probably multiple times a year. It's one of my favorite musicals. It's got just the matte painting backgrounds. It holds up exceedingly well. Are there obvious problems with it considering it was made in 1939? Yeah, of course. But in general, what is there to update? The story itself is timeless. The book that it's based off of, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, which again I've read, is timeless. I mean, there's nothing about the movie that needs an update. There's a reason that it came out nearly 100 years ago and has not been remade since. I mean, sort of. You had The Wiz. The Wiz was a remake in the 80s, and you know what? That was an all-black remake. Was that woke? Well, no. No, it was not. Because there was a difference in the way ideology and the reasoning things were made back then versus now. If you want to watch The Wiz, which starred Diana Ross and Michael Jackson, go for it. That is something completely different than what's being done here, because what's being done here is not being made for everyone, and it's not even really being made just for black people, or if it is, that's why it's going to fail, because that is, what, 7% of the U.S. population, and you can't bank on spending hundreds of millions of dollars on movies, on budgets, which these movies nowadays so often do, for 7% of the population and hope for it to be a success. That just mathematically does not work out. No, he's doing this to push a message, to push some sort of cultural narrative, and you know that because it's changing where Dorothy even comes from. I know it doesn't explicitly say, well, hey, it doesn't say Dorothy's going to be a black woman. It doesn't say Dorothy's going to be POC. That's true, it doesn't. But it's not set in Kansas anymore. It's set in Inglewood. So that's a pretty big indicator right there. The Wizard of Oz and It's a Wonderful Life. He confirmed the script for his reimagining of The Wizard of Oz is done. His version of Dorothy is a girl who lives in the Bottoms, which is a huge apartment complex located in Inglewood, California. The original Wizards of Oz took place during the Great Depression, and it was about self-reliance and what people were going through, Barris said. I think this is the perfect time to switch the characters and talk about what someone imagines their life could be. Switch the characters. So once again, if you weren't worried about this before, if you're like, Leon, you're overreacting, you're a vile racist, first of all, that's absolute bogus, and you guys know that's bogus, but you know you're going to get those commentators who know nothing about my content, who are going to come in and just assume, because, you know, black dudes remaking Wizard of Oz and doing some race swaps, and I don't like it, instantly means racist, whatever. That just shows how much you guys put value on race. I, on the other hand, don't put value on race at all. I don't think there's any reason that black children today should not be in love with the Wizard of Oz, just like they weren't, again, in 1939. Same with It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life is a timeless classic. We'll talk about that when the article gets to it. The point is, why is this being done? Why remake The Wizard of Oz nearly 100 years later when we already have plenty of other versions of the story? We had Sam Raimi's the Oz the Great and Powerful. Again, you already had your all-black version, The Wiz, back in the 80s, so you're not doing anything original on that front. We've got, there was the stage play Wicked, which is, a musical for that is coming out this year, an adaptation of the musical. So we've gotten plenty of Wizard of Oz content. I mean, hell, there's like 14 books in the Wizard of Oz series. A lot of people don't realize that. I only read a couple of them myself, but yeah, there's like 14 books in the Wizard of Oz series, so there's not exactly a need to remake one of the most classic films of all time unless you were just doing it for pandering diversity points when you're doing things like making changes to have Dorothy be from Inglewood, California. It's ultimately a hero's journey. Someone thinks something's better than where they're at, and they go and realize that where they're at is where they should be. I want people to be proud and happy about where they're from, but I want the world to take a look at it and hope that it will come through. What does that mean? But I want the world to take a look at it and I hope that will come through. Like, it's just word salad. He's just saying things that sound good, and written down like this, or sound good for the cameras. Why do you want to make this film? What about The Wizard of Oz is so intrinsic to your love of the IP, or of the film back in the day, or of the books? What about The Wizard of Oz has you so inspired to remake it? What about this movie that has aged beautifully after almost 100 years can you look at and say, you know what? That needs an update, and I'm the guy for the job. I don't want your word salad about how you want the world to take a look through it and hope that it'll come through. Like, what the hell does that mean? Barris is also remaking It's a Wonderful Life at Paramount and centering the story around a person of color. Because why not? Because why not take what is one of the most iconic Christmas films of all time, keep everything else the same, but change the skin color? Why do you individuals, why do the people in Hollywood, why do the people who make these movies fixate so damn much on skin color? Especially because the director himself, right, he outright says it's already a story for everybody. He believes the story made famous in Frank Capra's 1946 film starring Jimmy Stewart is tailor-made for a POC perspective. I feel like Christmas movies are amazing, and I think the idea of taking something that has that long of a history and a tale behind it and putting an amazing piece of talent to tell that story, Bear said. It's a guy who's trying to help out his community, and things are going to turn around on him. I think that's the perfect story to tell for a person of color. Well, if it's already a perfect story for a person of color, then why do you need to retell it? Like, it doesn't make, if it's already a perfect story for the POC, then why can a POC not watch the original as is and still relate to it? Because you are so vile and racist that you believe that people can only relate to characters if they've got the same skin color. And people want to say that individuals like me, or Geeks and Gamers, or Hypnotic, or anyone in this sphere, that we're the racist, when we're over here saying, no, anyone can relate to any character as long as they can relate to that character and the context of what's on the inside. Doesn't matter if they're a woman, or a male, or black, or white, or Asian, none of that. But you got this guy here who already says, yep, the story is tailor-made for POC people. However, they're not going to watch it unless we change the main character to a black guy, so I guess it's worth remaking a movie that's, 80 years old, that's one of the most genre-defining Christmas classics of all time. Black or brown, to get into that, because our communities have some issues and someone trying to help that community out. I think that's the perfect vehicle to tell the story from. Barris added, I still believe in IP. I think he gets shit on sometimes, but I believe the idea of some of those great stories that are told again and again and again, so having the opportunity to take those IPs and tell them from a different point of view is a gift that I hopefully keep getting. It's a gift you don't deserve, because we don't need these other point of views, because your point of view from the modern day is trash, it is garbage, it is so skewed and honestly evil at this point. When you're making films like this, they're inevitably doing nothing but trying to upset fans, trying to upset general audiences and moviegoers, so you can please a small minority of individuals online who think that just existing in a modern capitalistic world is oppression. And it's something I'm getting damn tired of. We've got this here from MovieWeb talking about his Wizard of Oz adaptation, The Wizard of Oz, Barris' direction. And when you now, this photo has nothing to do with The Wizard of Oz, but when you see this, yeah, even Movie Web knows the direction it's probably going to go. Barris hasn't given any explicit revelations about his direction with the adaptation. Nevertheless, those who know Barris knows he's famous for features Blackish, Girls Trip, You People, Grownish, Coming to America, one of the worst sequels to a classic, hilarious movie of all time. Dude should be burned and staked just for making this garbage. Intergalactic, Shaft, and Soul, which was touted as one of Disney Pixar's most inspirational films. Barris is a highly imaginative creator known for the diversity within his pieces. Barris was very open about his creative direction regarding entertainment content in 2021. He told The Hollywood Reporter, the plan, at least as he envisions it, is to sell premium content from underrepresented voices to outlets inside. And you know what? If you want to do that, that's fine. You want to know why I ain't got a problem with Blackish or Grownish or You People? One, I haven't seen them. I'm not the target audience. But I imagine they're at least original works. However, you're not taking premium content for underrated voices when you're stealing the works of other individuals and repackaging them as your own in a very obviously inferior and pandering way. So yeah, tell me about how it's about underrepresented voices when you are banking on getting a paycheck based off the work that somebody else did and all you had to do was flip the skin color. Both of these films are going to flop. The Wizard of Oz and It's a Wonderful Life. Why? Because nobody is asking for them. These are classics. These are classics that so many people still watch. Yeah, you might bring in some new, uneducated individuals who know nothing about the originals with these remakes, but they're probably not going to stand the test of time. In fact, I know they're not going to stand the test of time. You're going to have a very, very small group of people that watch your version every year, year after year, whether it be on Christmas or during the summertime or whenever it is that people find these films just to relax. All you are doing nothing other than taking the work of other people and saying, look at my brand new original idea of just changing the character's skin color. And that's all that Hollywood and people in Hollywood have been doing since about 2016, and it's something I'm getting damn tired of, because you want to know what? There are some great original black stories out there. When I remember when Miles Morales first debuted in the comics, and Miles Morales was goddamn cool. And nowadays, he's just another tokenized black Spider-Man, because that's all they want him to be, Black Peter Parker, as opposed to when he debuted and he was his original character. No one's got an issue with black voices or black TV, black movies. I mean, hell, rap, hip-hop, R&B have literally ruled the airwaves since like the late 90s to early 2000s. So obviously, music has, there's been cultural references and significance to black music for almost 20, if not close to 30 years now in terms of pop top 40 relevant music. But no, you want to pretend like this is some massive original idea when it's not and when nobody's gonna see this. But we gotta keep talking about it, because the only way to get this to stop and bring back actual greatness of original ideas and original IPs is to shame these morons until they feel like they have no choice but to stop. Shame them and make sure that they do not get $1 of your money. But those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at BoltTheWord. And please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about movies or race swaps within movies, but anime, video games, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Also check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon. And remember, it's all here in the Nerdosphere, because this has been Words of Paradise.